South Wales Argos. If I say the most important archaeology ever, right, people will read it. Right. Okay, Roger. Talking about things that go bump in the dark, right, Roger? What you been up to?
Well, I've been holidaying up north. Lovely.
Well, you can hardly
Thinking
go on
about you
holiday in
all, how you're
Scotland.
doing and stuff.
What?
And caught up now. There's an interesting program yesterday, which is something I've wondered about the origins of the Egyptian, well, peoples.
Oh, the end of the civilization thing. Yeah.
Well, you look at the buildings and the carving and things, they did absolutely brilliant, lovely work. And the gold work and statues with very little tools. They reckon that the earlier, what was her name? Can't think of the name.
Hatshepsut.
Yeah,
Hatshepsut.
she detailed a trip to Punt, which from the carvings and the detail, the animals, they reckon was in Ethiopia. Now that's come up before, the gold and all of this. But these go-to young Americans took a trip down the Nile to the Lower Egypt, into finally Ethiopia, but there wasn't much left to show they'd been there doing much. So it was interesting as to what happened to it and what might have been reused. And there was a port they'd found on the river, the Nile, which was used for different things. And a lot of history, which is, they go on a lot about Tutankhamun and the pyramids and stuff, but this was the earliest stuff. And they think, well, it was a hidden thing because with the humans then, they had the intellect we got without the tools and experience. So you think, wow, because some of the stuff they've done, beautiful. You know what I mean? So it's amazing. And it was an eye opener because it's never been pursued so much before. People gloss over it, oh, they were there and that was that. So I found that interesting. I'd like to know more.
Oh my God! Don't tell me I've got to give a lecture on ancient Egypt again. What? All right then,
The, the
Roger.
origins,
That's
the origins of the Egyptians.
actually, Roger has just done something that I was going to ask. Right. He's already set one of the lectures. So origins of ancient Egypt, right? So I need somebody to come up with another title because over Christmas we've got our two pre-recorded lectures that I send out on YouTube to you all over Christmas, right? And one of them will be thanks to Roger, Origins of Ancient Egypt, but we'll chuck a load of other things. So whilst we're going around, right? So if there's a subject that has always intrigued you, right, forever, right, you've got a few moments to come up with a title, and then I might have it as one of the lectures over Christmas. But because Roger's got special needs and I got to keep him happy, right, that'll be one of the lectures that we'll be doing. Thanks, Rog. Right, talking about Will. Hang on.
Will.
Hang on,
right.
Stop a minute. Who's just gone?
I'm just popped out.
Right, yeah, go on quickly. Go for it.
Oh, geez, oh yeah.
I sent you some details on the Oak Stow and on Nunnery Meadow. I have, in fact, created as of yesterday and posted on YouTube, Rumney Virtual Tours International Global, a full video of Volume 1 of Reliquiae Britannico-Romani by Samuel Lysons, 1813. Some very nice mosaics. It's on. I put it on Facebook. I just posted a notice on my Facebook, Will George on Facebook. I reconstructed one of the mosaics, which is on my Facebook page, which is the Nunnery Meadow one. So I cut and paste and reconstructed 90% of the mosaic that was damaged. There were 4 volumes that License did, and I've looked at 3 and 4. Unfortunately, I cannot find number 2, but they have some very good Roman antiquities in them. Do you know the name of A.D. Passmore?
We might
Arthur
actually have a
Dennis
copy.
Passmore?
Yeah, we might have a copy, so you just need to let us know which one you want.
Volume 2. They're worth,
Well,
I found out they're worth about $35,000 each, and £20,000 each. If you go on,
I'm not saying that we got an original. We probably got a copy. So that
oh, okay,
get all those links over to me, Will, and I'll check all that out to everybody as I've been doing. So I really appreciate all that. I really
okay.
do. So,
Do you know A.D. Passmore?
yeah, that rings a bell. Yeah.
Okay.
No, that does ring a bell. Yes.
The copies of the books I copied, he either owned them, sold them, or gave them to the Getty Institute. So one or the other. Anyway, that's me.
Yeah.
Oh, when you talk about Egypt, don't forget you've got to do Stargate SG1, and you've got to
Oh
put
no! Shut up. Oh, all right then. That's your contribution. That will be in there. We've got to mention Stargate and see if we can see that there's any provenance in that TV series. Yes. You said it now, Will. You should have just kept your mouth shut. Right, Margaret.
Not being rude.
Sorry, I'm I'm a bit late. I'm eating my tea.
Well,
Yeah.
hang on a minute,
I'll finish your tea then.
Margaret. Do you ask us if we care? We don't. So anything you want to share?
Well, when I've cleared my mouth.
All right then. Right,
No,
yeah.
no.
I've had an interesting hour, actually. I've had a very interesting hour. Were you shaking your fist at me then?
No, I shake my fist at Roger. I was telling him to shut up.
Don't be horrid. We don't want any horrors.
A cousin of mine who actually lives in Cardiff, she sent me a load of old sepia photographs online on WhatsApp that she'd found in her mother's handbag. Her mother died 14 years ago. And she said, do you know who any of these people are? And I don't, but I saw that one of the chaps had a regimental uniform on from the First World War. So I zoomed in and I managed to find by the badge on his hat that he was in the West Riding of Yorkshire Regiment. And it was, and his uniform was from the First World War.
Mm.
And it's just amazing what you can find. I've found out all kinds of things. There's lots of websites, that military ones, with loads of photographs, lists of names. It was very sad to see all the young men that had perished. They were all sort of 19, 20, 21,
Right.
hundreds of them just from the one regiment.
Hang on, can I just stop you a minute? What regiment did you just say?
The West Riding. It's a
Because,
Yorkshire regiment from Huddersfield.
Because my great granddad who accidentally lied about his age. He was in his 40s. He said he was in his 20s. He got away with it until they realised he just signed up to any old regiment to be in the First World War, right?
Yeah.
And they actually found out his age then, so he ended up being a drill sergeant in over here, and he wasn't too impressed. But you never know. There could be a link between those photographs and my great granddad. So there you go. Love it. I love all that stuff. Just the one thing about that is that it's all that stuff is so easily lost. You know, it's you talk about a handbag, right? Oh, I want to just mention something about that now, right? You talk about a handbag that could have just been somebody could have just chucked it away, right? I was talking to one of our people who does these classes, who's not in this one, he's in Wednesday, and he said, well, I've got all these photographs, but when we moved, he said, when we moved 20 years ago, we chucked a load in a skip. And I just said, oh, didn't you actually ever have a look through the boxes? He said, there were so many boxes, we just chucked them all out. So that's exactly the point, Margaret. Sometimes there's these hidden gems. Right, Margaret, you've had your chance of deciding a Christmas lecture. It's gone. Right, Drina.
No, nothing from me. Thank you.
What about you, Drina? Go on, just whisper any Christmas lecture you want to do.
No, I'm just thinking about that at the moment. Sorry.
You and Margaret are allowed to liaise on that one, okay?
Okay.
But you've got to tell us by the break, right?
Tell what, somebody, if I missed something, what are we telling you?
Look.
Christmas lecture.
Right, we got two Christmas lectures that I need a title for. We've already got one decided by Roger and Will. So you
what
two
are they about? What are they about?
It can be about anything, as long as it's not anything sordid. Oh,
The Aztecs. Can we have about the Aztecs?
Only if
Or
Drina
broken beef or
agrees.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And no. It can be about the Aztecs, but you've got to decide what subject with the Aztecs that you want to do, Drina. You can, whilst I'm talking to Andy and David, you can come up with something. Right. Anything you want to say, David? David's muted. Right, David's muted. But if David's got anything to say, just put your thumb up, David. Right, Andy, anything you want to say?
No, nothing to report. What about the archaeology of Christmas?
Oh, come on, that's just too obvious. That's really too. Oh yeah. Do you know what? Right. I had a big row with Judith today. She was saying, you know, I can't join your class tonight. I got to do it on YouTube, right? Because my husband won't. Santa Claus won't deliver my iPad till Christmas. And I said, well, I've been playing Santa. I can deliver it for you, but you know, she's not convinced.
Well,
Right, so we could do the archaeology of Christmas. Right, back to Drina. And Drina, what part of the Aztecs do you want to do before we crack on?
How about the clothing?
Oh yeah, it's just I tell you what, the clothing, the material they use, right, and the colours, no puce, wonderful. That's what we'll do. And Anne, I've just asked everybody. I don't know what's wrong with David's mic, but I just asked everybody any news. But Anne, we're deciding Christmas lectures. We've already got them in the bag. But however, is there anything, right, that you would like me to talk about over Christmas? We'll put a little bit in there. It'll be called Anne's bit, right? So Anne, anything you want me to talk about?
Nothing, I've thought about it and I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Okay, fair enough.
sorry.
Well, the archaeology of Christmas and Aztec clothing will be one, and the other one will be origins of ancient Egypt and the science fiction show Stargate, and whether there's any archaeological evidence to do with that. Right. So I've decided it's going to be a little bit less intense this week, because I will tell you what we're going to do now. It should be all in front of me, but it's not. So this week we're going to be looking at. Oh, hang on, it's on this one. Right, this week we will be looking at as follows. Archaeological evidence in Colchester, right? But we're going into it in a different way, as you know. We're also looking at McDonald's in Rome. We are genuinely looking at McDonald's in Rome. Yeah. So we're going to be looking at the time team excavation at Brodgar. The Nessa Brodgar, the excavations closed last year. They're coming back in 2026. We're going to look at the William and Griffin Hoard from Colchester. We're going to be looking at the site of Sheepen, right? And an amazing sarcophagus that has been found hidden beneath the capital city. And the lead singer of the Animals, interest in archaeology. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight.
Right.
So we're gonna crack
Eric
on.
Burden. Is it Eric Burden?
Well, that'll be giving too much away, wouldn't it? That'll be giving far too much away.
Mm-hmm.
So right. So what we're going to do now? We're going to get onto those images, and good to have you back, Anne. We thought we lost you for a moment. We
Well, you did lose it for a moment because I was messing about trying to get. I still can't get the volume as much as I'd like. I'm not hearing terribly well.
What's that? I can't hear you, love. Of course, you're pretty loud. You're pretty loud, love.
Carl, you're very quiet, actually. I can't hear you very well.
We're all in trouble with it then.
Hang on a minute. Right, what we're gonna do, right? You've always got problems with the sound, right? I'm gonna ask one of you a question, right? It's usually Andy. Andy, can you hear me, darling?
Yes, I can actually hear you quite well. So.
Oh, Margaret, it's just you, Margaret. Do you know?
Andy, it's me as well. I've been messing about trying to get it louder. That's why.
Louder? My ears are gone listening to you.
Well,
right, okay. So archaeologists discovered 573 ancient fortresses hidden in the mountains. Do you know what I mean, right? If they're going to come up with any figure, why can't they just round her up to 575 or 570? That's really going to bugger my mind. Then, right?
Nature's way, yeah. Which
So,
mountains are
Roger,
these?
hang
Anyway,
on, Roger, just shut up. Do you know what I'm going to miss, right, over Christmas? I'm going to miss telling Roger to shut up, right? So I'm going to get somebody in the background to make noises, and I'm going to tell him, Roger, shut up. Right, Roger, if you read there on the screen, it says some of the ancient buildings located along China's mountain top rivers date
where's
back.
that?
It's in China, you silly idiot.
Oh, there, down there. You were looking at the title. You're looking down at the text.
Because I'm looking down at the text. Roger, what drugs are you on this evening? Thank you. So we're gonna be looking. We're gonna hopefully that'll be at the end if we get there, right? Because at this rate, we're not going to be getting anywhere, right? So now, there was an image I showed you last week, right? There was an image I showed you last week, right? And nobody got it, and I had no idea, right, that it was a Roman road and 3 sets of human remains hidden under Rome until McDonald's decided to build a McDonald's in Rome, right? And then the McDonald's decided they're going to keep the archaeological remains so that when people are eating their Burger Kings, they can look down and see 3 sets of human remains on a genuine Roman road.
Burger King's the other one. Clive, what's in it?
What you want to? Did I mention Burger King?
Yeah.
Roger, I just mentioned that so I'd confuse you. Anyway, the new McDonald's has a cool design element, an ancient Roman road, and you can eat your Happy Meal, right, looking down at this Roman road. I kid you not. There it is. Now, I showed you the image of this last week, and I got really excited, and I thought, where is this, right? Yeah, but you can actually wander down the street there, right? And there's a glass screen there, and above there is McDonald's. You can't make this up. And interestingly enough, Henry last week, he basically said, he said, I know where this is. And I said, what do you mean you know where this is? And he said, oh, I said, I've looked it up on the internet. There it is. It's in 2014. Again, this is just unbelievable. And there's another point I want to make so nobody interrupt. So in 2014, during construction on a McDonald's in Italy, workers found an ancient road. I kid you not. And they also, the Roman bodies of individuals that they found along the road, they left there. So you can actually still see the bodies where they lie, and I thought that was absolutely brilliant. That's my type of archaeology. I've always said to Michelle, if we're ever excavating in West Wales and we find human remains, those human remains will remain where they are, and this is what they've done in the likes of Italy, in Rome. And the other thing as well is this is the key point. The other thing, when McDonald's said, look, we're going to build a McDonald's, and the archaeology was actually found, the workers found an ancient road. McDonald's said, we're going to keep it. We're not going to destroy it. We're going to keep it, right? So McDonald's Italia supported restoration work on the road before building the restaurant over it. Visitors to the restaurant in Frattococchi, is that right? Frattocchie. My Italian's not very good. Frattococchi can see the road and skeletons among its stones. And you just look down, and it's there. I think this is absolutely amazing. And one of the things I would argue is that one of the things I would really argue when people say, oh, there's archaeology there, it's in the way of development. It's not in the way of development. The Bloomsburg building in London decided to keep some of the archaeology there, and also move their temple of Mithras back to its original location so people could go in a basement and see the archaeology. This is the way archaeology should actually be done. You should keep it there, and you should use it as a feature like they've done with this. I think it's absolutely amazing. I'm really excited about that. And there is that lady wandering along with her fries. There you go. And you can just see underneath her feet tourists wandering underneath, right, looking at this wonderful archaeology. And they
Just
say
got
that
a skirt on.
you can even touch the
Well,
human bones, right? What's that, Rog?
just got a skirt on. That's not the right thing. There you go.
What's wrong with you, Roger? It's a woman who's serving in McDonald's. What's your problem? God's sake.
She's wearing a skirt. She should have trousers on.
The first thing
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
yes, I
Roger's
thought of that as soon as I looked at it.
No, that's so good.
I'm sure she's aware of that and is wearing the appropriate attire.
Yeah.
No,
She's got
Andrew?
black tights on. That'd be all right.
Right, guys,
No,
can I
no.
just make an observation? Right, this
Oh.
is just Andy. This is just an honest observation. Only Roger could spot that.
No, I'd spotted it, but I didn't say.
I-
It's
I-
a story.
I
Yeah,
give
that
an
could be a
office.
problem.
I think-
It's
That
an
is-
anachronism.
Some ladies,
Ago.
it could be a problem.
I think it's a very deliberate image. Yes, I agree. I agree with Roger on that one.
Guys,
Well,
guys,
a bit of
can we
something,
just
a
get
bit
on
of-
with the archaeology? Roger,
Right
can you just
finish.
stop talking about your fantasies now? Get off.
We
No,
can't see the archaeology for the chips.
off of, just shut up. But anyway, so the images show a McDonald's restaurant in Italy that features unique architectural and menu
quite against that.
elements compared to a typical location. The interior features in this McDonald's above the ground a classical Roman-inspired decor, including a statue and mosaic tiling, giving it a high-end appearance, and a statue of Lloyd George. So basically, you've got the normal McDonald's, right? But basically, it says there the menu adaptations reflect local tastes and cultural preferences, such as offering a wider selection of desserts. I think that's great. So anyway, so there you going into McDonald's. There it is. So you go in there, right? It looks all this, but you've got Roman remains underneath, you can actually say. So from the outside, this McDonald's in Italy may seem like a regular restaurant, but walk past its gates and over its glass flooring and you'll spot some eerie details, like 3 skeletons embedded in the rocks below. I think this is unbelievably brilliant. I'm loving it. Look at that. So in 2014, workers building the restaurant on the outskirts of Rome stumbled upon an ancient Roman road. And the interesting thing about this ancient Roman road is that it's likely that at some time in Rome's life, which will go on to the dates, sometime maybe about the 200s, this road was completely abandoned, and whoever the bodies of 3 individuals were just left, and it was backfilled, and now you've got the archaeology with us today. So I love this type of use of history, right? And it's bringing history to us. Oh, and also Judith has mentioned online, she says there's a bank in Gibraltar that has done something very similar. They found a wall from the 1300s that they've made into a feature. This is so brilliant. I love this. So apart from offering brands visibly participating in such efforts is a good example of how public and private sectors can collaborate effectively on reclaiming cultural heritage. Because in a way, what they've done, McDonald's, you might not like McDonald's. I know Anne absolutely hates McDonald's, but the fact of the matter is, this is what this is doing. It's basically making the past relevant into the modern day and age. So if I can mention, for example, what's happening in Italy in the late 1920s, early 1930s, when Mussolini has decided that he's going to tear all the buildings around in the Forum down and sort of tear the sort of buildings outside the Colosseum down and all the rest of it, right? So people can actually see the Roman archaeology. Today's response would be, we're going to keep it all, right? And somehow everything's going to live together. And this is what we're doing. And this is what they're doing in Italy today. So just look at this. You can, this is really, really interesting. And this came to us last week. Because,
looks like a paved road. Normally,
yeah,
I
it
saw
is.
smaller stones.
No, this is a really heavy paved road. We'll go on to that in a moment. So, Fratacocchi, which was known as an ancient Roman hamlet, basically in the likes of Rome itself. This is a really interesting piece of archaeology. So this locality within the Roman landscape was connected to other Italian cities via roads that led to the Appian Way, and the road itself there is unbelievably well preserved. Now this road surface may actually date back to the 320s or 312 BC, which it's saying, and what this itself, this is a fragment of that road network, and I think it's like, look at that, there is really solid basalt rock. Okay, it's basalt lids that they've actually put there. This highway itself is everything that we would really aspire to in regards to being a Roman road. So it basically says that the images that we're showing, the ancient Roman road, the three skeletons, it's Fraticotti, a town south of Rome within the Roman sort of outer landscape itself. So this itself, I know I said it's in the heart of Rome, but to me, this is Rome itself. So the 150-foot long stretch of well-preserved basalt road, so it's basalt rock, it's volcanic rock, stones that have been used as paving slabs for this road, and dates back to maybe sometime there in the years before Christ. So the dates that I've got here maybe as far back as 312 BC, or maybe it's a little bit later. So the archaeological site was discovered in 2014 during the excavations for the new fast food restaurant. Instead of covering the ruins, now this is key. Now this is really, really key. This is where all the cultural dynamics come in. This is where this is where big business comes into us, cultural people who want to be connected with the past, as well as eating a burger in McDonald's. Instead of covering the ruins, McDonald's financed the excavation and restoration, integrating them into the restaurant's design via a glass floor, making it the company's first museum restaurant. Roger, can you do you remember that sort of the Grey Friars in Cardiff, Roger? And you go in and you used to be able to see human remains underneath through the glass. Can you remember that, Rog?
No, I don't. I remember the buildings and stuff around, but not that.
Yeah, there was, there was a section of the Grey Friars, the restaurant that they built there. But guys, in the 1960s, there was the remains of the old friary in Cardiff, and they demolished it, which was a big tragedy. Really nice buildings, they demolished it, and there was a pub there called the Grey Friars, and as they were building the Grey Friars, they were coming across all these human remains, and somebody said, why do we put a piece of glass above this so that people can actually see the human remains? And obviously the glass itself wore down and you could hardly see anything, but this is what they're doing. So instead of covering the ruins, McDonald's financed the excavation, integrating it into the restaurant, the design, the glass floor, the museum restaurant. Again, museum restaurant, you don't often hear that, do you? I've mentioned that 3 times now. So visitors can view the ruins for free without needing to purchase food. And there's signs there in English and Italian. I think this is absolutely brilliant. So you can stand up and you can look at that. And as Roger would get very excited, look up at people's dresses. Roger, only you could come up with that. And I don't know who this is coming in.
There's no rutting.
There is no rutting because it's basaltic
like
rock.
The road wasn't used much.
Because it's basalt, volcanic rock, it may not wear down. It may not wear down. So whenever this was constructed, archaeologists discovered the path, the road. It became a burial site, and the interesting thing is some of the facts and figures with this as I'm reading this article. So McDonald donated 300,000 euros towards the 3-year restoration, and afterwards the road was incorporated into the McDonald's restaurant design. I'm thinking about that figure. I'm thinking it doesn't sound like a lot of money. It sounds like the money that they would have wasted in sort of covering this up and sort of just paying the archaeologists to do the work. You restore it and you allow people to see it. So to make the road part of the restaurant, McDonald's built a glass walkway over it, as you can clearly see. And the walkway begins by the parking lot and stretches into the restaurant. So visitors can look down and see the ancient road as they enter the restaurant. So in other words, the road underneath, how do we describe this? The road underneath guides you into the restaurant. I think that's wonderful. So basically, you can actually get an idea there where you've got the camber in the middle of the road, the slight sort of camber. You can see the sort of drainage on either side, left and right. What were you going to say, Rog?
Good.
So this is the thing, you see. I think this is and also in the article saying that you can have a look at this at any time, and apparently you can still see the Roman remains in this restaurant until 2 a.m. in the morning. So you can, if you know, if you are like me, you don't like crowds and stuff, you can go into the restaurant, have your McDonald's, and basically you can just basically go and see the archaeology. This is my mecca. This is how everything should be done in archaeology. So, you know, it's sort of saying, it addresses this idea that you're looking down and you're being guided in. So,
Wow.
and also you've got little tables along the glass as well. And so when you think about it, I know it's a bit macabre. So if we get no, not that. If we can get an image of the skeleton and we can look at that. So they're saying, you know, I know every corner of Rome and the landscape is really historical, but this is a spooky side of Rome, you know, embedded in the rocks. So the bodies, as you can clearly see, these bodies were found in the gutters during the excavation process. And basically what they did, right, the bones look very genuine, but they're actually replica castings of the bones. So you can touch the bones, but they're actually castings. So, but they do look really, really genuine to me. They really, really do. So within this Big Mac itself, they're talking about, you can see the archaeology and you can get a feeling for the archaeology. And one article that I read basically said that sometime roughly around in the AD 200s, the road itself was abandoned and backfilled, and this is probably when the bodies actually date from. So, oh, by the way, this is a red herring. This is nothing to do with the restaurant. I'm going to test your research, right? Can anyone work out where this was found? And it was found somewhere in Britain very, very recently. Nobody shout out. This is your homework for next week. However, again, looking at that, getting that feeling, and I love this when when I actually come across this accidentally last week. So one weird thing is I looked at that image and I thought that road looks really damp. And obviously it's sort of underneath the restaurant, and obviously, you know, this is probably down, sort of, this probably might get flooded today. But that's why we've got these resin casts of the bones, so they don't get washed away if there is some kind of a flood. So I actually really like doing this piece this week and delivering you this. But back to these basaltic rocks, Roger just said that it doesn't look like there's much wear on these. You can see a little bit there in the forefront on the picture. But because it's basalt, it's likely that it's not really worn down. Because it's like a volcanic rock, so it's not going to have the same level as wear as a sedimentary rock. But again, I love this, and if anyone wants to do any more research with this, there's a 150-foot stretch of road. And again, the point that I haven't made today, if you're looking for a Roman road in Britain, surely Roman roads in Britain would look like this, but they don't. That is the point. Now, what I'm going to do next is we're going to, I was really, really intrigued by something else this week. I was looking at the internet and I just thought, right, okay. It said new excavation planned at the Ness of Brodgar, in Orkney, and I thought, wow, how exciting is that? So that's the next article we're going to actually have a look at. And again, look at that last little look there. And there is one thing, sometimes when I'm saying, where is this image of, people actually finding where this is, and there you go. That's how this come up this week. Oh, and by the way, that's your homework for next week. But by the way, it might be a statue of Venus. So there we go. Saying goodbye to this now. And the skeletal remains there look like the real thing. They really, really do. But they're resin castings. So again, oh, by the way, my sheep were very excited today because I've got these mineral licks for the Borray sheep, and I licked one of those mineral licks, and it's actually full of molasses, but you don't need any more detail. But now, so what I want to do now is I want us to go to the Ness of Brodgar. Now, one of the things that I didn't do was to conclude the excavations at the Nessa Brodgar when we're doing the Neolithic stuff, but lots of other things got in the way and we never did it. But what we're going to do next year, we're gonna go back to the Time Team excavations that they will have done at the Nessa Brodgar in 2026. And my mind is saying this might be an ideal time whilst they're doing the excavations to maybe go back to Orkney. I would have access to the site because I'm one of the graduates from the University of Highlands and Islands. It'll be partly supervising this excavation. And I thought, right, maybe I could have a little look at the excavation while they're doing it. I don't know. But basically what this is that this is dated. This goes, we're back on site. Time Team dig plans confirmed for 2026. And this is dated from Tuesday, November the 25th. So they're what we've got. We've got the GPR survey team. Basically, we're doing geophys on the site, and that guy there is John Gator, and there is his colleague there brandishing a Time Team top. There's the Nessa Brodgar, and it's, you know, life is full of surprises because Nick Card, the archaeologist, who is, this is on his land, right? Strangely enough, Nick Card is an archaeologist with a flock of sheep, with land that he owns. Does that sound very familiar? Yeah, lots. I went into a museum down in West Wales last year to look at some artifacts, and they said, oh, the archaeologist isn't in today because they're tending their sheep. And I said, well, my missus is tending my sheep and I'm an archaeologist. That was a bit weird. So they're going back to excavate the Nessa Brodgar, and it's not to sort of re-excavate the stuff that they've already done. It's to excavate new archaeology that they're actually seeing in a geophys that they hadn't actually found before. So Nick Card writes this article. It's on the official website about the Nessa Brodgar. It's written by Nick Card, the archaeologist, who there is Nick Card. There he is. He's smoking his puffer there. And there's John Gator from Time Team, and you've got the dog Tam there. And this is Nick Card's land. Amazingly enough, an archaeologist with an archaeological site. They do exist. So Nick Card goes, so just when I thought my trowel had been hung up for good, there you go. My second best trowel, as the first was buried in the backfill of the trench. So most archaeologists have a trowel that we keep with us all our lives, except mine usually get nicked. Roger's probably got my trowel. And he's basically saying my digging genes committed to the rubbish. It looks as if we will have to re-excavate for his trowel, for his trousers, to go in and do some more excavation. So what they did, they backfilled this archaeological site. This is right. There's one of the bits of the archaeological site, and there's the other part of the archaeological site. And in the distance, I don't think you can see. Oh, there we go. There's the Ring of Brodgar in the distance. You couldn't hardly. Oh, there we go. There's the Ring of Brodgar, right? So with the excavations that we're talking about, not that, we're talking about there, right? There's the main bit of the excavation, but obviously other excavations down the bottom of the screen. So they backfilled all that now, right? There was talk about leaving the site out in the open so that people could visit it, but Nick Card basically said, it's my land, I'm the archaeologist, and the archaeology is probably not going to last more than a few seasons, so they decided to backfill it. There was a plan then to build an aircraft hangar over it so people could visit the site, but there wasn't the money to do that. So as everyone is aware, the excavations closed in 2024. That was the official backfill. That is when they had to backfill everything. But what they did, however, this summer, 2025, they undertook a further phase of work revisiting earlier geophysical surveys back from 2002. That John Gator had done in 2002. It's gone back in 2025. And as we say, Roger, don't we? We say that sometimes with new technology, there's new discoveries. Yes, there are. So this is the thing. So even though they weren't thinking about doing a geophysical survey, the latest news said that there's something even more exciting at the Nessa Brodgar. That's why they've got to go back. And that's why they've got to get Time Team in there to do the work. So we also felt it was a fitting end to to the fieldwork at the nest to sandwich the excavation, sandwich this last bit of excavation in, and the work would be done by a team from Time Team and some experts from Nick Card's excavation team. He runs an organization called Orca, and Orca itself is basically the Orkney archaeological unit that does all the archaeological work, or tries to. So over the last 20 years, techniques and data processing have come on leaps and bounds. So we were not overly surprised that the magnetometry, yeah, there we go. There's one of the devices there, magnetometry, and they've got a bit of a screen there and everything on this little vehicle is pulled behind in sort of a grid. So magnetometry and resistance techniques we re-employed provided much clearer results and defined certain features much more clearly. So there's something to be found that they could not avoid going to excavate. So the big surprise came with the deployment of ground penetrating radar. This big GPR thing. This thing itself, you're talking about £70,000 worth of technology there. It's really expensive technology. It's linked up to the satellites. It's really delicate. There's loads of computers, loads of stuff there. So they didn't have this technology back in 2002, and when we initially started to use geophysics on Time Team, for example, do you know what? Right, when I say we, I could have been a Time Team presenter, but I stuffed it up. But the fact of the matter is, I'm going to say we. So the initial geophysics that they had in the 1990s just wouldn't have picked up this stuff. In 2002 they wouldn't have picked it up, but it is now. So this ground penetrating radar technique we had previously only used on a very limited basis. Now what we've got is John Gator from Time Team, Mike Lanton, who's the other chap there, state-of-the-art equipment never used before in Scotland. So they use something a lot more advanced and basically drag behind a quad, right? Just a gentle quad going along, not really too fast. So the quad's in there doing the work, and basically was dragged behind a quad bike, allowing gigabytes of data, some 2 billion data points to be quickly gathered across the site. So this is the thing. They've what they're doing is that it's after a few decades that technology and archaeology advances. So what they're doing is 2 billion data points. That means that anything that is recorded below the surface within a few inches, right, is put together and analyzed, goes up to a satellite, back down again, is accurately positioned on the ground, right? And this is quickly gathered across the site. So unlike this technique with this equipment, this really expensive equipment, the ground penetrating radar, is unlike the magnetometry and resistance surveys, which is handheld, which basically provide a two-dimensional plan of the site. This provides a three-dimensional plan of the site, right? So the GPR produces time slices every 6 centimeters in depth across the site that can be stitched together in processional form. So it took them months to get this information ready for them to show in the university. So they got a 3D model of the underlying archaeology exciting, but I'm not allowed to show you that, unfortunately. I can't show you that today because that's specialist information, which maybe if I can get some images of that, I could show you on a future date. So there's John Gator, showing there the guy down on his knees, and what we've got then is Nick Card there. There he is, and one of the archaeologists, and this archaeologist here, they're all looking at the screen and going, wow, look at what we've got. And I think something like this is basically everything in archaeology, that when people turn around and say, let's excavate everything, no, because years later we might have other technology like this without even excavating the surface to actually find more archaeology. So by not excavating it, so they're stitching this together, looking at the underlying layers, and this is really interesting. This brings in my Tim Ingold stuff. Tim Ingold, that expert that put all those different layers of archaeology together and sort of stitching it all together. Archaeology is not one single layer, it's a mixture layers interposed on each other. That's what they're exactly doing with the GPR. So this allows them to better understand the development of the site over time, especially in the unexcavated areas. So what we're getting with the unexcavated areas is archaeology may be going back to the Mesolithic period, definitely going back, so 8,000 years ago per se, but we've got all the Neolithic stuff there, so it's absolutely great. Oh, need to take a break a second. So so this all of this is something that we need to look out for when we're looking at the news. It's not just about archaeological finds, it's about this type of archaeology. So as you'll see in the photograph, a sneak peek at Time Team's initial, so what we got there, so they're doing that. So what they're saying, that they've got features on the site that are odd, right, that don't fit in with the rest of the archaeology. So a form of features that seems totally odds with what we are used to seeing at the Ness, a site that can a site that can seem to be definitely by straight lines or rectilinear forms from architecture down to the art. So basically there's something really different about what we've got. So whatever the archaeology, whatever the linear archaeology, whatever there is, the architecturally, whatever they can find, this discovery itself is evidence that they will be looking at next year on Time Team. So that's what they intend to do, to analyze the anomaly, more excavation. So as we come to the end of this, and we've got there we go, as we come to the end of this, so the well-defined discrete nature of what they're doing, unlike the rest of the Ness, we are dealing with relatively simple single-phase archaeology that can be easily dealt with and completed within 4 weeks. The archaeology next year will be extremely complex, linear lines, architecture there, that the archaeology and information that they've never ever seen before. So hopefully we'll be able to talk about that next year when it actually comes out. Time Team. And again, just a reminder, Time Team has actually got its own channel still. It's on YouTube, and what we've actually got is they've got all their old Time Team episodes on there. You've also got an opportunity to see 3 episodes which they're filming every year now. Basically everyone who goes to the Time Team site can make a contribution and add to their fund to excavate more archaeology across Britain. So they do that 3 times a year now. It's a 3-day excavation weekend, and Tony Robinson is still involved. So folks, what I'm going to do now is we're going to do a bit of the landscape of
Carl,
yeah, go for it.
I've missed so much of that because I can't hear. I'm going to leave it for this week and see if we're any better next week.
So what is exactly the problem this week with you?
I just can't hear it. I can't get the sound any louder. I've been in and out trying to get the sound louder on my machine and can't. So there's something wrong with it.
So before you go, I'm just going to find Andy. Is the sound with you okay?
Yes, my sound's fine. And Anne, you are very loud on your microphone, but I'm obviously not on your speaker. But
No.
Same here, yeah.
It keeps going quiet for me too.
It is quiet for me, as I can hear you, but only just.
Yeah.
Right, so the archaeology or a cooking program, or what?
Oh right, so it's coming out. It's coming out fine with some of you. I'm just gonna see if I can do anything with my and Andy's saying it's fine. So what I'm gonna do is
You're on about a 50% scale, Carl. From my point of view, I can hear you, but it's about a 50% scale of your speaker, of your microphone.
Right, I'm going to see if I can adjust that now. So stay there, stay there, Anne, a minute. I'm just going to see if I can make an adjustment. 1 second. I'm going to come back out. Let me
do a test on your microphone and then increase the slider.
Right. Okay. Let's just see if I can do something. Right. One second. I'm going to try something out now. One,
What?
2, 3. So, let me
Do a test on your microphone.
Yeah, I've done.
Increase the slider.
I've done a test and it's fine. Right. Okay. Let's just see if I've done a test. It's fine. So it's fine on that.
It might be
So-
me it might be mine that's not working
No,
properly.
No, it's
No,
quite
I can't hear it.
No, I got the trouble. Ooh.
I can't
Yeah.
hear it very well.
What, David? Hello?
What about that?
No.
That sounded
Okay.
right. I could hear that.
You can hear that now.
I could hear that. You're a bit quieter now than you were a moment ago, but I can hear it. Yes.
Okay.
Point again. Jiggle.
Hang on a minute. There is something that I can do. It's a bit more complex, but I will go on to one of my mobile devices and I'll get into this, right? And I'll see if I can use the speaker from one of the mobile phones. Right, here we go. You have no, it's not doing it. Right, okay. Apparently, somebody's saying online it sounds perfect here, and that's in West Wales.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Let's just right, okay. Then I'm gonna try something else a minute.
Carl, if you press on your audio icon down in the bottom and you press the arrow going up and you go to your audio settings and it will bring up the speaker and the microphone and you can see your microphone as you're talking and you can use the slide bar to increase the output using that.
I don't have that on this technology. There's loads of different versions. I don't have it on this technology. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
gonna see. We're just gonna see what we've got.
I think we've all done that and we're all deafening, but Carl's really quiet.
What?
Right, okay then. Just bear with me a minute. I do have a cunning plan, right? I do have a rather cunning plan. I've just got to try. You just got to bear with me a second. Bear with me. 3 there. Right, let's just go on with this device and there, and let's get in there.
Bing bong.
Bing bong. Who's that?
Right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Is that clear?
That's much louder, Carl.
Yes, but
It's
you've got an echo.
echoing. You're echoing.
Yeah, that is the problem.
Oh.
What about that now?
Well,
Yeah.
you're echoing because you have two devices on the go.
better.
That's why.
What?
What about that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
No
That's
echo.
Is that
good.
clear?
Good. Real good.
Right. Okay. I've got to use something else a minute now. I've got to put some. There is a way. Got to put some headphones in.
What? No.
Oh, gee. Marley, where are my headphones? Marley, do you know where my headphones are? Marley, where are my headphones? Can't find my headphones. Can't find my headphones. Right, okay. Let me work this out. So there we go. Am I repeating with anybody?
No.
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 Pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. That's echoing.
Yep.
Right.
On.
Mhm.
Then.
Right. Okay. So if I do that, there. What about that?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
good.
yeah.
That sounds good.
Okay. Well, anyone, I'm going to crack on. However, I'm not able to really hear you guys. So, if I'm talking over you, that's the way
Well,
it's going to have to be.
you can't hear us.
Right. So, okay, then let's crack
You can't hear
on.
us. Oh.
Mm, okay. Sound test.
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah, I can hear that.
It's working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very weird. The car, barreling that way,
All right. So one of the things that I wanted to mention this week is back to the Boudiccan revolt.
Mm.
And it's quite easy to talk about what historians have mentioned about the Boudiccan rebellion of AD 60 and AD 61. But what I'm doing is giving you the archaeological evidence that has been found in and around the likes of Colchester for the events of AD 60 and 61. So to do that, I've got to go and look at the archaeology that's been excavated at all these localities: Colchester, St. Albans, Londinium. This archaeology itself is a hoard that was found very recently in Colchester. But before we talk about that, let's mention this. So the archaeological evidence for Boudicca's attack on Colchester includes what I mentioned last week, the Boudiccan destruction layer. A stratum, a context, a layer of burned daub and debris found across the town today, whilst they're excavating for modern buildings, along with rare human remains from this period. Now, I mentioned last week that the burnt daub is associated with Watland daub structures that existed in the early building development at Camel and Junum from before AD 60, AD 61. And when they are excavating this burnt layer across Colchester, which is up to 1 meter deep, what they're actually coming across is other evidence of something else that happened in Colchester 5 years before. So it's quite likely that we're not just looking at one rebellion, we're looking at another rebellion that there's very little written about in Colchester. But not talking about that today. We're focused on the Boudiccan rebellion, which was destructive, and many thousands of people lost their lives. Other key finds are a hoard of gold and silver jewelry. This one, hidden before the destruction, and various other artifacts like burned pottery, which we'll have a little look at, a broken spear, and a charred bag of dates, which we mentioned last week, which we'll come back to, all providing a snapshot of life during the revolt. So that piece of archaeology there is found there in the beating heart of Colchester. So the key archaeological evidence, the Boudiccan destruction layer,
a distinctive layer of reddish-brown ash, burnt daub, and debris dating to AD 60-61 is found across much of the area of the Roman town. The high temperatures turned the normally perishable daub into pottery-like substance, preserving details of the buildings that were destroyed. Usually when daub itself collapses from a building, it just goes back into the ground. But when it's burnt, it takes the characteristic that you might find of basic pottery. Human remains in regards to this big, thick black layer across Colchester are extremely rare. That's because the intense temperatures of the burning the human remains were so intense that very little has actually survived. But what they do find in regards to human remains might be jawbones, might be bits of skull, might be shin bones, all associated with the revolt of AD 60-61. And these are among the only human remains found in the town sacked by Boudica in this period. This is known as the Williams and Griffin hoard, associated with an outlet that was excavated very recently in Colchester. So during the development or redevelopment of a department store, a collection of Roman jewelry, including gold and silver armlets, bracelets, rings, was found in the former ruins of a Roman house. This hoard is thought to have been buried by its owner in a desperate attempt to save it during the attack. And actually, they'd never come back because they were killed. So these finds provide a tangible and a key piece of archaeology to the violent events that we mentioned last week and were mentioned this week, preserving evidence of the destruction and the lives of the people who lived in Colchester at the time, whether it's a broken spear, whether it's burnt pottery, all these pieces, these glimpses of life in the destruction layer, the tragedy of the events can be seen in the Colchester Museum. And I've seen lots of this stuff with Roger.
Yeah.
I showed this last week, and I absolutely love this image. And by the way, I'm going to do a sound test. Is my voice sounding very good now?
Yes,
That's okay for me.
fine.
Good. As long as you're happy, Roger, nobody cares.
Okay.
I showed you this image last week. I love this image because it sort of shows the strange, desperate nature of what's going on. So obviously behind them is the Temple of Claudius. And Temple of Claudius hadn't been completed at this stage. Obviously, Claudius died in AD 54 and he became a god on his death. So they decided to erect this temple to his memory in Colchester. Most of the work above ground level was destroyed, but the basement did survive. And this is what's really, really key about this piece of archaeology. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you a little bit more of this. And maybe what I might do is, oh no, we will do it now. So this itself, and I'm just making sure I've got my notes in front of me. There we go. I got them there. The Williams and Griffin hoard, known as the Fenwick hoard. Some really fine gold objects. It's a significant collection of Roman gold and silver jewelry, which was all compacted together, almost in some kind of bag. And these are discovered in 2014 beneath the William and Griffin department store, now the Fenwick department store in Colchester. And we think it was left, as I've already mentioned, by somebody who had panicked. Maybe the people who buried this actually did escape and get all the way down to London. But if they got all the way down to London, they would have died anyway. So we don't know about the owner's fate. But the owner, likely a wealthy Roman woman, buried her valuables for safekeeping. Now, we could mention at this juncture that if the Roman woman had survived, she would have been a woman that had escaped Colchester, Camel and Junum. If she had been in Colchester at the time that it was overtaken by Boudicca's rebels, she would have suffered a terrible, terrible death, far worse than some of the other things that happen to women when these events occur. As I mentioned, there were reports of women having their breasts taken off and sewn onto their mouths, which is something else we'll talk about again. We don't need to do that. So she buried her valuables for safekeeping, and this is what they found as they were excavating. Presumably died in the revolt, or she escaped, as her treasure was never recovered. If she had gone back to Colchester, she would never have found it anyway, because there was nothing left standing of Colchester after a revolt. With this meter thick layer going across a big chunk of Colchester, it was full of everything, you know. So human bone fragments were found with this, and we don't think that those human bone fragments are anything to do with the person, but we've got an image of that, and it shows that the human bone fragments themselves show that the person was sliced to bits, and one person died near this find. So what you can clearly see from the description, it's sort of a small jewelry box, sort of or maybe some kind of in a cloth and bag in the jewelry box, with lead reinforcement, leather covered wooden box that they're saying. So you've got a silver bracelet, you've got the 3 gold armlets, which is basically here, and you've got a pair of gold earrings, which are there. You've got a silver bracelet, and some of the coins which had dropped out of the bag, and you know, into the box, as it were. So another pair of old gold earrings, 4 gold finger rings, a silver armlet that they're brushing there, and a golden disc. So really, really valuable objects, really, really valuable indeed. So when they excavated this, and it's good that this was, and you can actually see this on display in the Colchester Museum, which is absolutely fabulous as well. So that gives you a good idea of the finds. Obviously, the head of Emperor Claudius was actually found in a river, which had been taken from the temple, but that wasn't found on this occasion. But you can see that there, wonderful silver work actually, and the rings, and the coins as well. So again, all circa, you know, just before AD 60. So this collection itself, an amazing collection. This collection itself is believed to be one of the finest of its type found in Britain, and offers a glimpse into high status Roman life. And the items found here tell us of a moment in time. So the person who buried this was obviously frightened for their lives, and they buried it because they probably meant to come back for it, and they buried it because they felt they could escape. We don't really know what happened to that person. So again, looking at that and sort of getting a better idea from a different angle, and this sort of silver armlet here is that there amazing piece of silver work.
Watch.
And I've got to be honest with you, Roger, were you with me in the Colchester Museum when we were looking at some sort of some crowns? Remember that, Roger?
Vaguely. But let's say with this one, it looks just like a wristwatch. Amazing similarity.
Yeah, it does look like a wristwatch. It really does. So what I'll explain is that up in the top part of because the museum is like bottom part and the top part. It's amazing, right? So I went with Roger. Roger didn't actually go into the bit of the tour that everyone else went on with Michelle. They looked into the old underground part of the Colchester Temple, which is where everyone would have died, right? So me and Roger went and had a look at the museum, and there's these crowns. It's like Roman crowns, and they're really weird. I can't really describe them, but I might come back to that again if I've got access to that image. Have I got another image of this? I'm just trying to keep with this. So again, just a bit of a re thing again. So we've got the gold armlets, the bracelets, silver chain necklace. We've got the 2 pairs of gold earrings, 5 gold finger rings. Look at that, absolutely wonderful, with gems, and one actually has a dolphin image, and a silver that wonderful large silver armlet. So it's a shame it's not a bit more clearer. And a small purse contained 26 corroded silver coins, some dating to the time of Emperor Augustus. So they're saying that the container itself, back to as we're sort of looking at this, the container itself, this is interesting itself. The remains of a small ornate jewelry box made of silver with wood inside and ivory feet. So all this detail, and it's saying that in amongst this, encrusted into the iron and into the room as well, they found carbonized foodstuffs like dates, figs, wheat, peas, grain were also found in the same room, preserved by the fire and that just were destroyed in the house. So another this was in some kind of storeroom. And again, look at that there. And what we're looking at is you can just basically see the layer there. All of this stuff here is the archaeology, the big thick black layer across the site. And this is where they excavated that sort of shop as part of that building. And so the Fenwick Group generously waived its rights to a finder's fee under the Treasure Act and donated the entire collection to the Colchester and Ipswich Museum Service. And the hoard underwent extensive conservation work and is now on permanent public display at Colchester Castle Museum. And I've got to be honest with you, that's great. So that's how archaeology should be done, donating that to the nation. And it doesn't mean to say it needs to go through the finder's process or any kind of sort of legal things. It can be donated to the museum. It can be studied and then put on display. So what we're going to do after the break is that I've actually found this little session with my other mic quite difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to switch off the other device and I'm going to come back onto this one. So, and see if anything's changed. So if you could bear with me a second. So I'm going to kick myself off, leave.
And throughout the whole thing, I could hear myself talking, right? So hopefully people can hear me, right? So that we can talk about some of that. So Roger, you talk now.
I can't hear you very well.
Now.
Yes.
Go for it.
Yes, that's fine. The thing with Colchester, the way is, I remember a few things, especially that running track. Do you remember?
Yeah, Roger.
That was sort of almost unnoticeable until you started digging, or they started digging. And the first time I've actually seen any remains like that. But you see on the films the Ben-Hur chasing around that, what do they call it, racing track. A mini one of those. And the gatehouse we had, another place.
Yeah.
Amazing what they achieved. What was destroyed.
What Roger is talking about is
you got soft again.
Right, what Roger is talking about, when you organise a trip to somewhere like Colchester, it's good to actually plan in advance, so we were able to see all this stuff, because if we hadn't planned that, we wouldn't have been able to see any of it. So Roger's dead right. And there's a gateway there, the Barbican Gateway. There's walls there. There's Roman tile everywhere. You've got the museum. You've got the early church. There's so much wonderful stuff in Colchester, but you need to plan in advance. And the theatre. And now you've got the area where underneath the vape shop, you've got a piece of Roman mosaic to actually see. Get to the Colchester vape shop. Right, so some people saying online, you know, they're just talking about various different bits of archaeology and sort of they're enjoying it, so that's good. So anyway, William, anything you'd like to say?
Yeah.
No,
Are you with there, William?
Nothing from me.
Okay, what about you, Margaret?
Have they ever found any coins that have Presutagus on them?
Yes, they have. We've got Presutagus coins, yes. So, yeah.
Well, he's an interesting man, I think. It was quite sophisticated of him to make a will back then, to be able to, would he have written it in Latin?
Oh my God! Do you know what? You right? Okay. You've actually just hit upon something, right? I'm glad I'm getting questions like that, because it's like that also, you know, my head is thinking following, right? I'm thinking Presutagus' will, and also we've actually found in London over the past few years, we've actually found a deed to a piece of land, a Roman deed, right? So that would be two documents. It would be great to look at that. That would be a comparison. You know, you're thinking, oh my God, Presutagus had a will, but you actually had people with deeds to land like we've got today. So that as a comparison would be a nice little thing to compare. I like that idea. I don't know when I'm going to fit that in, but I will mark that off on the list. So
I assume he had quite a lot of wealth. Boudica had a gold talk. I'm assuming that he had quite a lot of gold and silver, not just land, but quite a lot of wealth as well.
There is another question. You've hit something on the head, that we talk about Presutagus. We talk about Boudica. What actually happened to Boudica's daughters?
We don't know. But you know, most of the information we have is from Tacitus.
And Cassius Dio Cassius, exactly.
Well, Tacitus's father-in-law, Agricola, was over in Britain during the revolt. I wonder if he was a witness to the final battle. Do we know that?
No, we don't.
Because I presume Tacitus, who wasn't there, must have got first-hand information from his father-in-law, who was in Britain at the time.
It was Suetonius Paulinus who was accordingly at the Battle of Watling Street. But
well, he was the governor,
but he was there.
Agricola was under his command, wasn't he? And I just wonder if he actually witnessed the final battle. And
that's a good question, and I'm not doing the battle at all tonight because that's something else.
And how do they know about the slicing off of breasts and sewing them onto mouths? Where did they get that information from?
Roman historians, because you're not going to be able to, you know, that's impossible to. That's impossible to sort of. Yeah, and also the other thing as well is if you think about this logically, right? Okay, just sort of defiling a woman in that way, then who survived to actually say that actually happened? You know, there's all of that sort of play. So this is why I'm trying to do this from an archaeological point of view rather than
yeah.
You know.
It's propaganda, isn't it? A lot of it.
Well, exactly. Drina, and I'll come back to Will in a sec. Drina.
No, nothing. No.
And Will, did you work out this image from last week?
I do have it, and I can tell you in a minute. That's Minerva, and it is at Amastris in Amasara, Turkey, or maybe not. No, wrong one. Sorry, I just
That
pointed
is
you
the
up.
wrong one.
I just messed that up. Hang on, Roman mosaic.
No, this is a fresco.
Yeah, I know it's a Roman mosaic, a base leg.
Yes,
A base leg, a base leg.
this was found in
Yes,
Wales,
um,
exactly.
Yeah,
Now,
base
this
leg
is,
in Wales, yeah.
yeah, exactly. And this is actually on display it was in display in the National Museum of Wales. So, yes,
Right.
that is correct. That is correct. Okay. Right. So we've done Drina, have we?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. We'll have a break in a moment. Anne?
The only thing when you were showing us the Roman road, which was absolutely wonderful underneath
McDonald's.
I was surprised. I mean, perhaps in preservation of stuff, I was amazed that they'd got people walking all over it. You know, I mean, it could have been put under glass to preserve further, because when you think of when you go down some steps and the middle part's all sort of worn out, where over, and you think if you're trying to keep this stuff, which we should preserve for future millennia, shouldn't we? Because it's really precious and needs. I was just surprised that that they'd done that rather than just cover it and let people walk on glass above it.
Right. Can I just sort of do this from another point of view, because this is something that we did at Leicester University. It was like
I'm sorry, I've lost your sound again.
Yeah. When I'll speak up. When, for example, we look at that very, very question,
Yes.
we've got to look at people's connection with the past. And if we put everything in aspic, then people's connection with the past will go. Mm-hmm. So we have to take a risk, undeniably, to allow people to access the archaeology, even though it's going to wear it down. And the best example of that is when we go to Santorini and we think about the Minoan town that they allow you to wander around, Akrotiri in Santorini. They allow you to wander around it. And you're thinking, my God, wandering around this is going to cause damage to the archaeology. But if you don't allow people to wander around it, it's not going to bring in the money that you need to preserve the archaeology and keep the archaeology relevant. So there is a dichotomy. You can't put everything in cotton wool buds. It's the same with the archaeology that is on display in connection with Tutankhamun. You could put it in a box and not allow anyone to see it. Eventually this stuff will fade and will decay, but that's what people are paying to see, to keep the archaeology relevant on a cultural backdrop and meaning that we've got with this McDonald's in Rome.
Thank you.
Yeah. And sorry if I'm raising my voice and I don't need to, but I'm just very aware of that.
I'm sorry, I'm glad I could hear you quite clearly with that, and I've been so missing quite of it tonight.
Right, Andy.
Yeah, nothing, but when you switch back to that microphone, your volume dropped by about 50%. And particularly when you're turning away or leaning back, it drops off dramatically. And even I struggled to hear some of that when you went straight back to it.
Right, okay.
Like that, I can't hear what you're saying at all there. So.
Right, okay, so what about that?
Yeah, but I can hear you straining to manage to do that. So something's gone wrong somewhere with the microphone volume on the system.
Or the dicky mic.
All right, well we'll see what we can do after the break. I will try and rectify that. So we'll see. So we might do what we just did then, and we'll
love the Colchester evidence. That's really good. Thanks.
Yeah.
And that sounded good.
Yeah.
All right then. Right, we'll take a little break now. It's 8:35. I'll have a few fiddles with a few things, and we'll go from there. We'll be back at just before 10 to 9. We'll see you then, folks.
Okay.
Hang on, David's gone. David's gone again.
He wouldn't have been able to hear you, probably.
Oh, right. Mind you, I don't. He's had his mic on off, you know, throughout the whole thing. So
Yeah, I think he just gets very tired.
all right, then we'll be back. So I'll see you soon, guys.
Okay.
You tell me if I've got to do a like the crest, which, and as I say, it's the old Sarge reading and just learn about it. But you couldn't unreasonably lock a request. You can if you could, or if it was expensive or something like that. Certainly. When you say my speaker volume is too high, I'll have to see if I can do something with that.
No, your microphone. You're coming over very loud. Yeah.
Am I? I'll have to look at that as well. I can get at it. Today I've not been able to get at it properly. Normally you only go into settings and you can go and alter it all, but I just can't. I haven't been able to get in. I thought it was my thing that was wrong anyway, which I couldn't hear. And I tried, so I've gone out of the, switched off and gone back and couldn't get it right. But obviously something matter with Charles, with Carl's.
Yeah.
If other people are having difficulty.
No,
if my microphone's too loud, I'll try and do something about that. You've been doing a lot of rescues lately.
Yeah, I've been out a couple of times this week.
Have you? Yeah.
Yeah, we had one. What was it? Thursday. That lady that does her water aerobics or whatever she does in the sea.
Oh yes, somebody was telling me about that. Yes, and somebody, you got called out because people thought she was drowning.
Yeah. Somebody was watching it on the pier cam and saw her go in, but didn't see her come out, so raised the alarm. That had a lot of emergency services on scene.
Yes, I bet she was in trouble for that.
Well, she's not really doing anything wrong, but the problem is that we know who it is, but I think the best way of describing her, it would be a vulnerable person. She's very, very difficult to talk to because she does not talk back. I don't know why, I don't know what the problem is, but I've tried having conversations with her and it's not a normal conversation, even in an unstressful situation.
Yeah.
And so the problem was that she wasn't admitting to being the person in the water.
Oh.
So we didn't know, even though it was explained to her, we didn't know whether it was her, and therefore we didn't need to worry, or whether there was somebody else in there that was now on there floating down the estuary towards Morecambe, and we needed to escalate the search and bring in helicopters and all sorts of things. It's happened. It's happened. That's the second time it's happened with her. So.
Well, the people who were telling me about it were seeming very unsympathetic towards her and saying that she was a sort of a show off and this sort of thing. But it sounded to me a bit like she was slightly mentally, when people behave peculiarly, there's usually something they have a difficulty, that we.
She lives in a flat opposite the Albion.
Yeah.
And she goes down in a wetsuit with her earphones in and listens to some music or talk or whatever. But she goes into the water and does exercises. Some people say it's yoga, whatever. Certainly water aerobics, but of course that means flailing her arms around a bit and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So you can understand if you weren't watching her that she might be in difficulty, but she does the same thing each time. She goes out to the front of the pier, does a bit, then blah blah blah, and ends up going backwards, doing a kind of a back crawl back towards the slipway up outside the Albion, climbs out and walks out. Now, the only way that we can establish it's her is by looking at playback from the pier cam and also somebody's front door that we can use from their video camera on their front door. And it takes a while to go back through it all and check it's her, but the pattern's the same every time, so we know it's her. But it would be a lot easier if she just said, "Oh yeah, it's me," because then she's doing nothing wrong. She's perfectly entitled to do that. it just not saying it's her starts to become a problem, because then that's obstructing an emergency work, and that is a criminal offence.
It is, but
Yeah,
it may be. I mean, because I don't know anything about it, but people who are vulnerable, she may have been, because but the people I'm listening to are quite anti her, and I was sort of wondering whether she was ill or something. But of course, if people are anti, and she's been treated or accused or whatever before,
yeah,
that might be making a sort of very protective and say it wasn't me.
yeah. Well, it doesn't help because
I don't know. I don't know anything about it, but I'm just hypothesizing.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And sadly, it was made a lot worse this time because she wouldn't open the door to the police. She was talking through her door. And in the end, the police decided they were going to break the door down. And as they got the fire brigade there to break the door down, she eventually opened it. And in the hallway was her, her wetsuit hanging up, dripping, and all the rest of it. But and that will have made it much worse, I am sure. But I don't know really what you can do, because we've tried to talk to her about it when there's not been an emergency and we've not been searching. When I've spoken to her personally, saying we need to be able to eliminate you from our inquiries. This, you're not doing anything wrong. Can we have a mobile number? Can we do this? Yeah. But she doesn't do anything, and she doesn't. You're immediately aware when you talk to her that there's something wrong.
Is she defensive? It sounds like she's defensive.
Possibly, but I'm not even sure if she's even English. She has an English name, but whether it's like she's had a stroke. She doesn't speak clearly at all.
Yeah.
So
how old is she then?
Mid-30s, 40-ish.
You wouldn't expect strokes that early, would you?
No, but there's something clearly not right.
Yeah.
You
some mental aberration, it would sound like.
Yeah. So, this, and yes, I'm afraid people are very, very much far too judgmental,
Yeah, well, I find that mostly. I always seem to be on the defending end of, or I'm always trying to see the point of view. I can be wrong. I know I can be, but you try and look at another way of looking at it.
Yeah. And the other one was...
Well, I don't know anything about it. As I say, I'm just speculating.
Yeah. The other one was early Saturday morning, 2:00 in the morning. We got called out to a suicidal man over at Silverdale, according to the caller. But I don't know who was telling who lies, but one of them was lying, because he was found at his flat in Morecambe, pretended he knew nothing about it, and it was his girlfriend that had called it in. Now, either he lied to her or she lied full stop, but one of them did. And again, had 3 or 4 teams out searching with the police at, from till 4:30 in the morning.
Do you have many of that kind of thing where it's not quite straightforward and people aren't feeling well?
Rarely hoaxes. Yeah. I would think I can probably count them on one hand, the number of times we've really had hoaxes.
Yeah.
So
that's good, then they don't get them.
No, and I don't know who was lying to who there. The police said that it was a hoax from the girlfriend, but I thought, well, it would be very easy for him to say that to her just to wind her up. But I don't know, because I don't know the evidence. So.
Yeah.
We had a nice presentation last week. It was a music festival, but the monies from the raffle were giving to the RLNLI. And they built a fairly new boathouse.
Oh, great.
Beach. And the guy there was quite a joker and made fun with it all, but made the point. And some stories showing a film of things, what they did, and telling us about the Shannon is a certain ocean-going boat, and the inshore ILBs, or what it is.
Yeah.
Very interesting and sort of light-hearted, but with a serious message.
Yeah.
And I thought of these people were there, men and women. There's nothing macho or anything.
Yeah.
They go out there, and last week it was pretty calm, nothing much. But when it gets rough, even in these Shannon boats, that's.
Yes, I know the Shannon.
But if it capsizes, it's rigged so that you can switch it back up right quickly.
That's right, the self-righting. Yeah.
Yeah, some way, I don't know quite what.
Yeah.
Saying about the funds, the monies, some stories about how silly some people are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're going into things ill prepared, on little floats and things, and not watching tides and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And taking risks, people chasing dogs in the water, the dog runs out, and the man drowns.
Yeah, we've had a couple of those.
They show it on TV because they're a series, of course, saving lives at sea.
Yeah.
But it was very poignant because it was a fun week. And you think, fine, we did our raffle, fine. And instead of giving it to the hotel or somewhere, anywhere, it was directly to them, which made a very serious note.
Yeah.
On quite a tough number to deal with all that. And listening to him properly in a relaxed atmosphere meant that you could appreciate all this duty in what they perform. You know, any time, and you know, you say, well, called out, and you think, what the hell are we going into?
Yeah.
You
They're
know,
very brave guys.
a tough one. Very, very tough, I think.
Yeah. We had them down at our station on Thursday, literally half an hour after that call out of the swimmer one. What they call a show and tell. We'd been down to their station about a month ago, and they came down to ours to look at what kit we got. And that we work very well and very closely with our R&I team at Morecambe. They have like you say, a D-class inshore lifeboat, ILB, and a hovercraft as well. I
said, where are the craft made? Hopefully in Britain or China or somewhere, and they're made in Britain. And it's quite a task and control over that.
It's down in Poole in Dorset where they make them.
Yes, that's the centre. Yeah. Where Jill is near there, so poignant that way. But no, there's an awful lot that came over, and you think, wow, why doesn't the government pay for it? I used to work the shop with Wales Air Ambulance.
Yeah.
And talking to the crew there sometimes, the things they have to face. And they do good, but he said it does get tough when you got somebody and they die on you.
Yeah.
He said you've got to be prepared for that because you never know what you're going to with injuries.
Yeah.
And the state of people, that's, the terrible sights. Yeah, especially loss of limbs or a decapitation or something.
Yeah, you can only do your bit, and sometimes they're beyond help, unfortunately. So
yeah, they down them, and they said you just got to accept that and say, well, we were there in case.
Yeah,
there could have been a chance. We don't know. Yeah. And then when they take them, it's amazing how they could work on them to keep them going till they get to the hospital.
Yeah,
but you think most people give up and say, "Oh, sorry, they're gone." Yeah. No,
but you never give up.
Little things. Yeah, so it's interesting. But
are you able to hear me?
No, it sounds very quiet still.
Well, I've managed to transfer as much as I could onto my my phone, right? So I might teach from that, but it's not the images are not going to be as good, but you're going to be able to hear my voice. So
the microphone you're using, is that a separate microphone, or is it just on your computer?
It's into it. So I'm gonna have to start. I've got
I'm just wondering if it had
notes on. I've got
I wonder if it had a battery and the battery was going flat on it. That was also.
Oh, don't worry. I'll sort something out. I've just got to
You need that big one again that you used to have years ago.
You had that wonderful one, didn't that we were doing once?
Do you know what the plan is? The plan is, yes, that's there. So that will be back in action soon. So right, what was I going to do? So I've got.
Well, you need to speak. Carl, you need to speak very close to the microphone. Then not like inches away, but 6 inches away. And then it's much louder, and we can hear you quite clearly. Then.
Almost swallowed.
So what about this?
Perfect.
As long as you don't jig about.
So I've got to stay like this.
Yes, you do. You can move your arms and legs.
I can hear it. If I make Dumbo ears, I can hear.
Hang on a minute. I don't want to know about your bloody Dumbo ears.
Oh, wave your arms if you can hear yourself.
I'll get an ear trumpet.
So, Margaret, can you hear me now?
Well, I can hear you all the time, just about.
Oh.
I heard that.
I can hear you now. Yes, you're fine.
Do you know? Okay, I will stay near to the device. I will stay near, but I would say that I was listening to all the rescue stuff that you were talking about, right? I was on an acting job recently, right? And I wasn't allowed to have my mobile phone with me, but I needed it with me for emergencies, right? So I decided, and I will go off this in a minute. I decided to put my device in my boot, but unfortunately it because I've got an emergency response number on my phone. That means that the police will come to me straight away, right? Unfortunately, as I'm doing the job, the police work out where I am, right?
Yeah.
And they send out about 20 officers to find me, right, whilst I'm acting, right? They don't tell the organisation that I'm acting for, right, that it's me. All them leave the building to search for this person. They don't know who it is, right? Yeah. So all it would have taken was me, and they would have just had a quick word with me, right?
Yeah.
But basically 100 people were looking for me.
Yeah.
Well, you're a bit special, aren't you?
Because the police wouldn't say who they were looking for, right? So when I said, "Oh, my phone accidentally went off," and I've had 10 missed calls from the police, and I've got all these messages left, they thought, "Oh my God, it's you!" And apparently, when they phoned the police, they had a good old laugh. Apparently, it happens all the time. Right. Yeah. So what I'm going to do? I'm going to come out of this now, and I'm going to go onto my other device, which will mean which will mean a little bit of go on there. I'm in.
Yeah.
Quick, block him. Oh no.
I'm here, folks.
Very good.
I'm at the Golden Gate Bridge. You can see it.
No.
God,
Not nice.
it's the Golden Gate Bridge. It's the Prince Charles Bridge in Wales. No, it's not actually. I'm just lying. I just made that completely up, but it's definitely the Golden Gate Bridge. So so there we go. There we go. I'm back on the old mobile phone, right? But it seems to be working, right? Which is great.
But can you hear us?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Margaret?
Yeah, but can you hear me?
I don't care.
I can hear you.
I've just read something interesting. Shall I tell you?
Yeah.
Oh my God, after my story, you have to compete with me, don't you? Go on, give us a story.
Yeah. Have you heard of the nose of Trotty?
Who?
Spelled K-N-O...
I had a bit of totty once, what?
No, it's K-N-O-W-E-S. The nose of Trotty.
Trotty. Who's Trotty?
Trotty, yeah. T-R-O-T-T-Y.
Oh, Totty.
Trotty, as like horses trot. The nose of Trotty. It was the very first. Are you listening, Carl?
When he said totty,
Trotty like a horse trotty. The nose of Trotty.
No, it's not totty then, it's trotty, right? Yeah.
Trotty. You've never heard of it?
No.
I hear the totty, but not trotty.
Well, it was the very first excavation on the Orkneys back in 1858. Oh. I've never heard of that, have you?
Yeah, and but what did they find?
I don't know. I don't know. On the island of Harray. The island of Harray.
Yeah.
I wrote it down somewhere. They found a kist. They found loads of things there. So I think
Roger, stop it.
we should have a lecture on the canals of Trotty.
Roger, stop it.
We should have a lecture on the canals of Trotty.
Yeah,
Look, there's only so much I can bloody do.
that's the Christmas lecture.
Hang on a minute. I
Yeah.
see the rules,
The
not you.
mysteries of Trotty.
Shut
Not
up, you,
Trotty.
Roger. So you want me to do a lecture on some totty?
The nose of Trotty.
Trotty, right?
What
And
does
this
that
is on
mean?
the island of Harry.
On the island of Harry, there was an it was the very first excavation on the Orkneys in 1858. And
Ever.
they found a kist. Loads of, I think it's Bronze Age. Is it Bronze Age or Neolithic?
Ooh, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry, I'm there. I'll do it. By the way, I've got to put a message out. Anyone on YouTube watching us now, it's all gone to pot. We're talking about Totty and a lecture about the nose of Trotty on the Isle of Harry, right? I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but somehow I'm gonna have to work out what I'm doing, right? So it's all gone to pot. It's somebody's fault. So we've done the time team thing. I need to get us to access a little bit more of what we're meant to be doing. So let's just try. This is all going to go to pot now because I've just had to take photographs off the device and yeah, there we go. Start broadcasting. No, that'll do. That'll do. Yeah, broadcasting. Yeah, we go. Oh, I got to do a speed awareness bloody course. I'm one of the quarter of the population of Wales who's been caught going over 20 miles an hour on a road.
Oh no!
I was going 26. I was going 26 miles on the road. Right, it's 26 miles an hour on the road instead of 20 miles an hour. I got to do a speed awareness course in a few days' time. I'm not looking forward to it.
No.
Right.
Fine.
Don't end up in jail.
Yeah, I don't want to end up in jail with yeah, exactly. So
Otherwise, you'll have to get, yeah.
okay, shut up, Roger. Not interested, right? So I said to you at the beginning, and I've actually got my face right up against the screen, which is probably not the best thing to do. I mentioned at the beginning there's a site outside Colchester, right? It's an archaeological site known as Sheepen, right? And the excavations at the Sheepen site, particularly large-scale excavations in the 1930s and subsequent smaller evaluations at the area where there's something known as the St. Helena School site, right? And I come across this because it was discussing, this revealed that there was a large industrial suburb of Colchester that was completely obliterated, taken off the map in the period of the Camaldunum Boudiccan revolt, right? And this is key. It also had access to water, so there was a little port there as well. So this provided significant evidence relating to the pre-Boudiccan Roman settlements and its ultimate destruction, lost forever. And this is one of the only helmets from that period, Roman helmets from that period in Britain ever discovered in our country. So this was actually found on the site. Now, I haven't got many images about this, including my sheep, right? I haven't got many images because it was an old record from the 1930s, but I'll just mention it. In this layer that they excavated associated with this helmet, there was a distinctive reddish, brownish ash, and it was and there was loads of scorched debris across the site, known as the Boudiccan Destruction Horizon or Boudicca's Layer, right? And one piece of evidence for that, if I can actually find it in my images, is this, right? What you can actually see is all this pottery. Now, all of this pottery is supposed to be red, but it's not. This is actually displayed in the Colchester Museum. Now, these are some of the artifacts that were actually found in that layer, and basically they've been discolored so much, they've been heated so much by the temperatures of that very day, right? It's likely it took place over 2 days, and all of this type of stuff like all of these down there are supposed to be red. They're supposed to be Roman Samian ware, and later on we had the Colchester Samian ware, but that's actually not there. So this is the pottery that they actually found on the site, and it was a deeply thriving industrial landscape, as I say, with its own little hub type port. So Sheepan was a thriving industrial and trading centre before the revolt, with evidence of metalworking, including iron and bronze, leatherworking evidence hidden within this reddish brownish ash layer, pottery making kilns, and even a coin mint. It was all going on there. Now, there's one point I need to make whilst it's in my head, that when you talk about Colchester, the biggest problem with when you talk about Colchester is that people were already living there when the Romans came over to Britain in AD 43. People were already living in Colchester who were actually pro-Roman, right? But whether they were pro-Roman or not, the Romans moved into Colchester and started to take land off everyone, land seizures, right? So that caused resentment. This is why Colchester was one of those places that was at the fermentual interest of Boudicca. That was a great word, fermentual. Colchester is very different from Londinium, because Londinium was a new city, right? Colchester wasn't. So two differences there. We'll do Londinium another week. So this area, situated outside the main Roman fortress, was an industrial suburb located about 750 meters northwest of the main center of the town. So it was a suburb back then. It's now part of modern day Colchester. So when we think about, again, let's just go back to that helmet. It's just such a really interesting thing, that helmet itself. And at one stage, when you think about the Roman occupation of Britain, you could say that there was about 50,000 of these being worn in Britain at one stage by the Roman army, right? But we hardly find any of them, because it's relatively thin metal, really, and it corrodes quite rapidly, and it's good iron, but obviously when oxygen gets to it, it decays quite quickly. So large quantities of military metalwork fragments, complete helmet here, other bits of helmet, shield pieces, the bosses from shields, the center of the shield, which would rest of it in wood, and body armor were found, initially thought to be evidence of a desperate last-minute rearmament effort by the Romans. But they rethought about all of this evidence in amongst all those bits of pottery that we mentioned. And current thinking, however, suggests this was more likely scrap metal being collected by bronze and iron workers for recycling after the Roman invasion of AD 43, which was subsequently placed into pits and disposed of after Sheepan had been captured by the Boudiccan rebels. And interestingly enough, this is rather interesting. I mentioned there were bits of skull with the other site that we have just visited, the hoard that we just visited in Colchester, right? So what we've got not my sheep. Oh, there, I'm going back the wrong way. So we've got this little image, and what you can clearly see there is that where's I don't have an ability to write on the screen. So what you can clearly see there is there's a missing part of bone, right, which has been sliced off, right? So been sliced off, right? So this is the skull. Somebody's head has just been annihilated, right? So fragments of one or more human skulls were discovered in a pottery kiln, which may represent victims of the brutal attack. The Roman historian Tacitus, we mentioned him a few moments ago, wrote that the Britons slaughtered everyone in the captured town as a sacrifice to the god of war. Now, that's Tacitus writing. If you want to analyze that, people probably resisted and they didn't want to go down without a fight. And there's no evidence to say that anyone did actually survive, because we've got no accounts of anyone surviving, right? But then again, we've got something similar to Pompeii. So imported luxury goods. So when, again, if we go back to here, And as I say, we're a bit disarticulated with the images now because I just quickly swap over. So the presence of amphora storage jars for imported goods, which we mentioned last week, of course, lots of that comes from Spain. We've got grain being stored in them. We've got sorghum, fish paste, we've got oil, wine, and this fine Roman semi-ware, again, stressing that stuff should be all red, but it's not. Indicates that Shepham was a prosperous trading hub before its destruction. Everything Roman was smashed, destroyed. Right. I need to discuss that in a moment. So the archaeological evidence from Sheepen, Sheepen, helps confirm the Roman historical accounts of the widespread and ferocious destruction inflicted by Boudica and her allied Iceni and Trinovanti tribes on the Roman capital of Britain. Because at that stage, Camalodunum was the Roman capital, right? It ceased to be that after the revolt. It took a little bit of time. Now, there's something about this pottery that I just need to mention quickly. Now, the idea of Rome is everything that the Romans produced, right? So pottery, buildings, temples, coins, glass, jewelry, the people themselves, right? That anyone who's got Rome in their mind is going to be something that's going to be destroyed. It's going to be an item destroyed, right? Any traders, anybody who's been tainted by Rome is to be destroyed and killed, right? So it's not a matter of a massacre or a tribute to the war god of the native people. It's that anybody who's been contaminated with Rome needs to go, right? And that is a logical response to the Iron Age peoples of this country reacting to what Rome had done. There's a point there because before Rome had conquered Britain, there were lots of Roman traders. There were lots of people being buried with Roman goods because they wanted to feel like they were Roman, right? So it wasn't just people that had come over from Rome. It was anyone who was tainted with Rome who had to be destroyed. And that's the point. It's not just a matter of massacring everybody. It's a matter of wiping the slate clean. And I haven't mentioned the Second World War or Lloyd George tonight, which I'll do in the same ink. This is exactly what happened after the Second World War. Anything that had been formerly East Prussia that was now given to Poland, anything would be demolished, destroyed. Street signs, coinage, people, everything was to be removed from the country of old East Prussia. All the old Germans were kicked out, murdered, or whatever. Street signs, even old mansions were just blown up, right? Königsberg was totally annihilated down to the ground, right? That's what they did in the Second World War, is to remove the idea of Germany from the new Poland. This is exactly what they were doing in AD 60, AD 61, expunging the landscape of Rome. Very important point there. It's different from the age-old adage of just a straightforward massacre. Now, what I'm going to do, I've decided, what did I do next? I wanted to show you an article. If I come away from that, hang on a minute. I want to show you. We were going to do that. I was going to do that. Right. So what I did, I went online, and instead of the edited images that I had, I decided to not do this a minute because that's the other article. This one. Right. So this is that find that they actually recently found, and it's about sarcophagus. So if I can get the images up here, I can just scroll the images. If I can just find them a second. Hang on a minute. No, that's not it. Hang on. Okay, this is all to do with the sound. Hang on. There. No, I can't. It's not working. Hang on a minute. Right, hang on a minute. There. 1 second, folks. Right, that's not that. Right there, that one. Okay, we'll get to it in a moment. Right, here we go. And we'll see, not that. Not. It's blocking me. Oh, damn it. Hang on a minute. I might have to just verbally describe this because I'm struggling. Isn't right? Okay, sarcophagus. There. That's the atom. There we go. Go. Nope. Shit. Right. Sorry about this. Right. Okay, I'll do something else. All because of the sound. No.
Mm.
No.
Cocktail.
No.
Is that
I'll get to it in a minute.
well?
Right, I might have to just describe this verbally. It's a really interesting sarcophagi that was found. 1 second. Right. Okay. Got all sorts of crap
was the
coming up
phone
now.
call?
Right. Okay. This
Well-
is in Budapest. I'm just trying to. There, that
Okay.
one, that image. Can we get that image? Right there, got it. Excellent. We'll just talk over this. Right, that sarcophagi. Right, so there we go. Right, so as I said, this all set up on the other doodad, but so archaeologists finally lift lid on ancient sarcophagus hidden beneath the capital city, Budapest, Hungary. So a remark, and you can actually see how preserved the stuff is in there. You know, it's really, really well preserved. So a remarkably well preserved Roman sarcophagus has been unearthed in Hungary's capital, offering a rare and intimate window into the life of a young woman who lived around AD 300. Archaeologists from Budapest History Museum made this significant discovery during extensive excavations in the northern district of the modern city. Crucially, the limestone coffin remained untouched by looters and sealed for centuries, its stone lid still firmly fixed in place by metal clamps and molten lead. Upon carefully opening, and also I want to show you the other image, so if I can find it. This is quite a basic device I'm using now. So there, get that one, that image there. So they've lifted it up, and that's what it looked like inside. That's precisely what I want to show you. In fact, it was still sort of slightly moist in there, right? So crucially, the limestone coffin remained untouched by looters and sealed for centuries. Its stone lid still firmly fixed, as I said, by molten lead. Upon careful opening, researchers uncovered a complete skeleton, remarkably intact, surrounded by dozens of ancient artifacts as the person had been buried. The peculiarity of the finding is that it was hermetically sealed. It was a hermetically sealed sarcophagus. It was not disturbed previously, so it was intact. And the excavations led archaeologists to find this amongst the old abandoned buildings, and nearby researchers uncovered a Roman aqueduct and 8 simpler graves, but none approaching the richness or pristineness of this sealed tomb. It was sealed. So keeping with funeral customs, back to this piece in Budapest, the sarcophagus held an array of objects, which most of them you can't see there, but I couldn't find any other images of them anyway. So 2 complete intact glass vessels, because they would have been damaged because they were intact in here and been moved. Bronze figures, statue of Lloyd George, and 140 coins. A bone hairpin, yeah. A piece of amber jewelry and traces of gold threaded fabric. Along with the size of the skeleton, points to the grave belonging to a young woman. The objects, the items given to the deceased by her relatives for her eternal journey. And obviously it was eternal because when you think about it, it's like she was intact. She wasn't disturbed. So the deceased was buried very carefully by her relatives. They must have really loved who they buried here. During the Roman period, much of what is now Hungary was part of the province of Pannonia, whose frontier ran along the riverbank of the Danube River. A short distance away stood a legionary camp guarding the empire's border, and the newly found structures are believed to be a civilian settlement, including the remains of the other individuals and this girl, sealed this sarcophagus. Anthropologists will now examine the young woman's remains, a process expected to reveal more about her age, health, and origins. But even now, the grave's placement, abundance of artifacts offer strong clues. The sarcophagus and its contents definitely made it stand out. This probably means that the deceased was well-to-do or of a higher social status. It is truly rare to find a sarcophagus like this untouched and never this wasn't reused. This was completely wonderful piece of archaeology. It is quite clear that this sarcophagus was made specifically for the individual deceased. It wasn't a reused coffin. So just a few other facts as we're looking at this image, and we've got rib bones there. Excavators also removed a layer of mud roughly 4 centimeters thick down to the base of the coffin. So remember, it being sealed, but all of this stuff is all the congealed stuff of life. And they haven't actually been through it all yet. I suspect we could find jewelry. We haven't found any earrings or other jewelry belonging to the woman yet. So they hope that these items will be in that sort of mud. The discovery of the Roman sarcophagus is not only of scientific significance, but an emotional resonance, insight into the devotion displayed by people in an ancient time. I was very touched by the care and expression of love that we were able to get a glimpse of in here. Even now, I shudder to think how painful it must have been for the people at the time to bury this young lady, because they built a sarcophagus for this one individual. And that's why this is so important. Remember, this thick layer, all that stuff there, the 4 centimeters is congealed food, is congealed flesh, is congealed everything, clothing, it's all there. So it's quite a find, really. It really is. And I don't understand why that person's not wearing gloves, but that's life. So one more thing I want to discuss tonight is hopefully this will work a little bit better. Yeah, go for it.
Just on that one, looking at that picture, when they're talking about mud, that does look like there's been sediment settling in the bottom of the coffin, not just let's see, remains. So which would suggest that it wasn't sealed, so
I don't think it was.
I'm going to go with the article, but as you know, you've probably got a good point there. But it's made, and Andy, the article's made a lot of fuss about the fact that it was completely sealed, right? So you're probably right, and Andy's probably right, Margaret's right, that somehow something had seeped in here, right? And I'm not going to deny that, because 4 centimeters of congealed is a lot, right? And it looks like maybe other stuff has managed to get in.
Maybe through a hole in the bottom.
But then again, Andy, Andy, that's right. Or because there's not many images other than this, and remember, there's 140 coins in there, and you can see one there. But the one thing that I would say, Andy, is that we don't know of the burial tradition, because they may have actually been a layer of
soil or something.
Soil in there.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, there may have been a layer of
vampire. Yes.
I've never seen a burial where the skeleton is pushed to one side facing the side of the sarcophagus.
Yeah, they've done that.
They're usually laid in the middle, surrounded by their goods.
And I actually thought about that when I was looking at it, because you've got an amphora on the left there, and you've got a body on the right. Now, if the sarcophagus had been moved, right, then the amphora would be broken and would be over with her. And the other thing as well is we've got 2 glass objects being found in there which are equally not damaged, right? So it's likely that this hasn't moved, right?
And it looks as if the skull has had work done to it. It looks as if the skull has been operated on.
What?
Well, if we look
down.
at that, it's what's happened is the body's decayed. It's moved.
Yeah, it's just fallen over. The head's rolled over.
Gas is building up.
Yeah, because we got the jaw up there,
right? And we've obviously got the lower mandible, and we've got the skull there. And usually, Margaret, from my own excavations of very damp and moist bodies like this, you do get that effect that that's the color of very, very late decay, and that's the color. If this had been in the ground for a long, like in right, I can remember when I was in Cyprus this one time, and somebody had said there was a burial landscape. So I went there, and somebody had only just looted all the tombs, and all the skulls were emptied on the surface. This was in Cyprus, and the skulls were white. They were bleached white. So something like this is absolutely fascinating, and unfortunately there was like one other image, and there was no other images of this because this is so new. This is so new, because we got that image there. Hang on a minute, Notre Dame, we don't want that. So we've got, hang on a minute, what's happened now? So we've got, hang on, where is it? It's all gone to pot a minute. We've gone to Palestine. But anyway, so that looks really interesting, don't it? Over there. Oh, there we go. There it is again. So it doesn't look like that whole area has been disturbed. Actually, sorry, it's the device. Hang on. Right, okay, we'll do it again.
While
We'll
you
just try.
think
We'll
it,
do it a
Carl,
bit more gently.
disturbance could come from earthquakes. It could come from World War One, World War Two activity in the area, vibrations from bombing in the area, which would have caused some rocking of any underground structure that's standing free.
That's true. A bomb blast, for example, would
break
would
the
disturb.
amphora, you would think.
Maybe.
Yeah. So we got all those additional problems. I'm just sorry. I'm just a bit frustrated at this minute because hang on a minute.
The amphora
Sarcophagus
is
of
bogged down,
Alexander the
Margaret,
Great.
in the sense of it's in a mass of gluey material which is not going to go anywhere, but the bones would be perhaps on the surface of a cloth and have less stability, so more chance of them moving.
So what we're going to do? I'm going to try and get back to that last image. If not, we'll go on to the other thing that I was going to do tonight. So hermetically sealed. So the hermetically sealed tomb. Just see if I can get one more image. There we go. We've got these here. There she is. There we go. I'm happy with that. Are you happy with that? So what you can see the bronze coins in there. The body is naturally on one side, the amphora is on the other side. And it's I know what Will's saying about various stuff going around. Budapest was obviously, there was a lot of action in there, the Second World War, but you do have the amphora is intact, the glass objects intact, the body's intact, but naturally over time the gases and all the rest of it with the body are going to move the bones, right? And as it decays, and there's going to be flowers, there's going to be there's going to be little insects, all sorts of things in there. That's going to naturally move things, but obviously the body is clearly on the one side. So what I want us to do now is I want us to go to the land of China, and there's an article which we will read through, and this is not really going. Is that the one there? That's the one. Yes. Here we go. It's there it is. This is in China. That mountain range in China. So I thought this was rather interesting because we did the Han Dynasty the other week, and I've just got to type in something a minute, because we're all over the we're all over the shop. Finds, Chinese finds. There we go. I'm trying to get this again. Hang on a minute. Chinese finds in the mountains.
Right. Okay. 507. What's that, Rog?
Just saying, you've got on the Goya, the whole place looked quite bare. When
Yeah.
you say the mountains, as if this is up to the north of the China, is it?
I'm trying to
Just trying to make
get
out
hang
what
on.
you got.
Right, I've got to type in the as I say, moving everything around today has thrown me, so I'm just going to type this in and we'll
That's
read
the
that out for
fortress
that
of the
image.
mountains.
Archaeologists.
Hello.
Yeah, lots of this stuff has been found right high up. It's discovered 573. There we go. Right, got it. I've got it. So if look at that there, really high up. So if I can get that there. So it's basically saying archaeologists have discovered 573 ancient fortresses, settlements hidden in the mountains high up. It's a bit like going to Machu Picchu. So some of the ancient buildings located along China's mountaintop rivers and a mountaintop landscape dated back to as far ago as 5,000 years ago. So here's what we know now from this discovery of the landscape. So archaeologists in China discovered 573 mainly fortresses, really, in the mountains known as near Julin. So the prehistoric fortresses are each located near key water features. There's a varying complexity and timeline to these sites. So they're just being found now. So this is being released. So it's basically in Shanxi province near Yangzhou, and it dates back to the Shang dynasty and the Zhou dynasty, or the Zhou dynasty. And the stone fortresses were located along rivers, which is how researchers were able to locate them. So they're looking at the rivers, they're finding the fortresses. So the team followed water system maps into the fields, both in person and with aerial mapping, to locate and examine the sites. Remember, there's over 570 of these sites. So the highly defensive stone enclosed areas were sometimes settled next to what the team labeled as ordinary settlements without stone walls. So sound like Hill 40 type sites, but there's nothing more other than what I'm reading. So
Looks like
the
a wall
Chinese are
down there
saying
on
that
the
the
right, Al.
relationship with the cluster is to do with what's that?
A wall on the right, is it down
What's
there?
that, Rod?
Looks like a wall on the right and the left. It's sort of scanning the ridge.
Yeah. It's difficult to know what we're looking at, to be honest with you. But they're saying that the relationship between these fortified sites and the settlements is quite clear. So what they're saying is that you've got these fortified sites with settlements associated with them.
Yeah.
They're saying that some of the finds were quite complex, so the 573 locations range in size, and with that came unique layouts and shifting construction techniques. Some fortresses were small and rudimentary in construction, going back 5,000 years. However, while others, typically the newer builds, probably more in the past few thousand years, featured complex internal layouts, and these are the things that they're actually finding now. And obviously, we don't know any. I don't know any more to give you tonight, but that I just want to share that with you as sort of a find from China. And then what we've got finally, what we've got finally is if we can go to here. And I just wanted to remind you of this is a find that was found a couple of years ago. This is in Southwark. There's a beautiful mosaic in Southwark and on the south bank of Londinium. And possibly what we might do is just sort of put this in the background here. Next week, we might actually go to Londinium and basically think about the Boudiccan revolt there and a little bit of evidence. We still got loads more from Colchester to do. And then what I'm going to be talking about next week is the fact that we'll have one more week left then, and then we'll have the Christmas holidays. And now I've got, for the Christmas holidays, I've got to look at the nose of Trotty on the island of Harry. I've got Stargate in Egypt, Aztec clothes, statues of Lloyd George, archaeology at Christmas. And yeah, that'll keep me going. Prasutagus and Roman land deeds. Nice. So anyway, that's me done tonight. So hang on a minute. Are you sure that's not Claire? Anyway, so it could be. Right. So what we'll do, we'll call that a day now. So I'm gonna get back to the screen.
Okay,
Stop sharing. Hopefully we managed to bring that back tonight after the sound problem, right? But let's see if there's any questions, Roger.
No, that's fine. Opens up a lot of ideas, but no questions yet.
Okay, well that's fair enough, Roger. That's fair enough. What about you, Will?
No questions. All good. Thank you.
Okay. What about you? What about you, Drina?
You know, the head was on its side in that the coffin thing. Could it not just have fallen over? I mean, unless it's packed on either side, it's going to fall, isn't it? Or is it?
Yes.
Well, the skeleton.
The skull.
Yes, it's going to fall over.
No, it's
right. So
it's nothing
unusual.
So
basically, what you could be saying that the body could have been placed on a couch of organic material, and the organic material decayed and just rolled over to one side. That would make perfect sense. Yeah, that would make perfect sense. Yeah, because I know Andy and Margaret are right. It looks like there was some sort of silt debris in there, which I could clearly see, but I was hoping you weren't going to notice. But obviously it was talking about 4 centimeters. So that 4 centimeters across the sarcophagus would represent all the debris that's decayed in there, right? Including dead little insects and everything that manage in there, the maggots and all the rest of it. All that stuff had built up in there, right? So if it had been on some kind of organic couch, right? And I got to be honest with you, I'll tell you this, right? When I actually bury animals myself, right? I actually put a little in the hole in the ground. I usually put sort of grass in there, and I put a bit of hay in there. So whatever animal I'm burying has got like a nice bed to lay on. The thing is, if she'd been laying on sort of some kind of linen mattress, that would mean that when that decayed, that body would roll over onto one side. So that would make a lot of sense.
Right. Thank you.
Depends how disarticulated the body is. The skull looked clearly disarticulated because the skull had sort of moved off on an angle.
Yeah.
So that would make perfect sense. So, right. Okay then. Margaret.
It's just that I've never seen any skeletons on one side like that. Of all the skeletons we've looked at in burials, they're always either crouched or I've never seen one like that. And it just struck me as just a bit odd. And it looked as if she'd had work done on her skull, like an operation or something.
Aren't they all skulls all have a sort of crack line?
They all have that. It looks like stitching.
Yes, they do.
No, it's how it is.
Yeah.
No, that's it. When you're a child, you've got like that stitches on your skull, and then they bind together, right? So that's what that is. I thought you were all about something else when you were talking about surgery, but that's what that is. All skulls have it. Basically, our skull. Yeah, our skull. When you're a child, hang on a minute. Gina, I'm going to say 26. Is your skull in 26 bits, and then it all fuses together? Does that make sense?
I don't know. I know the top bit of your skull is soft.
Yeah.
On, isn't it? So as you grow, it grows.
I'm going to have to look at more skulls, I think.
Do you know what? If you're so curious about this bloody body, right? We're going to come back to it. I've got. Do you know what? Right. I was hoping that obviously I had everything set up on the other device and everything was fine and whatever. But yeah, maybe this is an opportunity to try and get some more images of that and to try and bring that to you again. So I see what I can do.
And compare it to
See
other
what I can do.
bodies in other sarcophaguses.
Mm.
Well, usually you would get a sarcophagus in the, yeah, you'd get the body in the middle of the sarcophagus. But obviously but because the amphora was on one side and because the body was on the other side, if the sarcophagus had been moved, right, and it all rolled onto one side, it wasn't. There was clear, and this was a hefty sarcophagus. I would like to estimate that the weight of that sarcophagus, from what I've seen, is roughly between about 600 and 800 pounds. So it's not the type of thing coming up to a ton. So it's not the type of thing that you can easily move.
No, it didn't look a flimsy
It's
affair at all, did it?
It
No.
was built in
No, it wasn't.
on the floor.
And you don't know how thick and also with the lid on, it's going to be a ton in weight. So
maybe the answer lies in the soil.
and also it's lead sealed. It's lead sealed with iron strapping on it, right? So that's going to add to the weight.
Yeah.
It was made in situ.
So right. Yeah, it would have all been put in situ, and then it would have it would have all. This person was so special that there was no sarcophagus prepared for her. No, start again. The person was so special that they didn't actually reuse the sarcophagus. The sarcophagus was made for her, right? It was specifically. She may have actually had a long illness, and they basically said, right, she's going to die. Will create this tomb for her, and she'll be somebody that will last forever. And there's a point with this. There's a point with this that is very logical. Lots of people who've got disabilities or health problems in the past are treated better than people who have natural deaths. We see that in a lot of cultures. We don't know anything about the girl yet because she's not been analysed. So maybe she had some kind of genetic problem. And therefore, she was buried in a special way. For example, when you think about Down's children syndrome, when you think about Down's children, they are treated very in a special way by some cultures. I'm not saying she had Downs. You could probably clearly see that she had Downs or something like that. But she may have actually had a really bad illness, and they felt she was very special. And then she had her own sarcophagus built for her. Andy.
I was just wondering how they knew that the sarcophagus had been made specially for her.
Because it was freshly carved, it was freshly dressed, it was mint. However, Andy's got a very, very good point. The tomb of Tutankhamun was meant to have been for one of the masons associated with the Valley of the Kings, right? Tutankhamun died, was he 19? And he died too young. So basically they thought, oh my God, we need a tomb, right? So the tomb itself was meant to be for somebody else, but it was a fresh tomb, right? So there's also another thing on this, Andy, right? If this sarcophagus was made for somebody, right, and a lot of work had gone into the sarcophagus, right, and then they decided to give it to her, right, that makes it seem that she's a lot more special than meets the eye.
Was it in a mausoleum, or was it actually under the ground? It
looks like it's a cryptal mausoleum. So obviously there was probably a mausoleum above it initially, right? But obviously that was swept through over time, and people had forgotten it was there, and then they discovered it, because if they'd have known it was there, it would have been looted.
Yeah, probably.
Or there is the other thing, that people had always known it was there. It's just that they realized that this person was very special.
Yeah.
You don't know.
How old is it? What was the age of it?
300 AD 300.
AD 3. Oh, so really.
My God! If I didn't know we'd have had this much discussion on that, I would. Right? Okay, then this girl needs a lot more work, right? Like most women do.
Sorry.
Right. So did
That's
we ask Anne?
apology. Yeah.
Anne, did we ask you?
I think she might be resting.
Anne,
Yes?
she's there. She's awake.
Yeah, good.
Anne, is there anything you want to say?
No, thank you. I didn't hear all of it, I must admit. Mind you, I did go to sleep.
Okay. What about you, Andy?
No, I think we covered it, but very interesting that one. I'd love to know if you can find out. And maybe they maybe not released much about it yet, but
there might be a way. So I will try and do that over the next few days. And do you know what I'm going to do, guys? Just don't tell anyone, right? This is a big secret, right? Nobody on Wednesday knows that you decided what we're going to be doing for the 2 Christmas lectures, okay? Nobody knows. It's our secret. So Will, get that stuff over to me. I'll get it out to everybody. Thank you very much for your efforts, Will. And if there's nobody else wanting to say anything else tonight, I am going to say look forward to seeing you all next week.
Yes, okay.
We'll have the technical problem resolved. We'll have the technical problem resolved next week. I know what to do. So I'm going to say good night, Andy. Don't forget, right? If you're saving anybody, and you're looking for anybody, make sure that people know the name of the person you're looking for, because otherwise you'll be all day. I know you can't date protection.
No, that's a good. It's a good tip. The police, the police, in my experience, do make some rather fundamental mistakes. We were on a search not that very long ago at Silverdale, and they sent us all around the beach because that's what we do, the coast and all the rest of it. And one of the guys in our team said, "You have checked the outhouses, haven't you?" Yes. They hadn't. The person that we were looking for was in the garage.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
yeah. If you find somebody in trouble, is your name Jack? No. Oh well, see you.
They're very good at like using social media and things and finding they get a lot of information like that very quickly and doing the door-to-door stuff. But the fundamentally basics of searching, they're not very good at, I'm afraid.
Yes, right, then I'm off then.
Go,
Raj. No, that's a great friend.
Yeah.
Right,
okay,
so I'm going to say good night to Roger, Will, Drina, Anne, Andy, and Margaret, and I'll see you all next week. Take care.
Yeah. Thanks, Carl. Good night, all.
Anyway, thank you for that, Andy.
Thank you.
Night, folks.
Hi.
I have sent you some emails, Carl.
You do that. Brilliant.
I've sent you some already.
Oh, good.
A couple of days ago.
Yeah, I got them. They were to do with the
Reliquie Britannico Romano.
Yeah. The one, there was a lot of things on that.
Nunnery Meadow, Gloucester, Bournemouth University re-excavated in 2019, and they found the mosaics, but I'm not sure if they've got them all. But the stuff from 1813 gives you all the layout and everything. So maybe have a look at my YouTube video that I just did last night.
Well, can you get the link over to me?
I'll send that. You're on Facebook? Have a look for my posting on Facebook. So it's on there.
Okay.
Will George, Facebook.
But yeah. Can you actually message me the link then? Because otherwise I'll be looking all day.
All right then. I'll do it. Okay. Have a good night.
Message me the link and it makes it easier to get out. That'd be good. Excellent.
Okay. Take care.
Okay
Bye.
then. Thank you for that, George. Night. I don't know who else is watching. It was a bit difficult tonight because my technology wasn't really up to scratch. I'm blaming his tools. I don't mean it that way. Anyway, that's the great thing. And also, weirdly enough, I'm close to getting up to 3,500 subscribers. So anyone who actually follows my channel, right? The aim is to, if I can possibly get to the likes of 4,000 subscribers by probably maybe, I don't know, by the end of January, right? I've got to do something big. And maybe maybe we'll have a little bit of a competition and a thank you type thing. But anyway, I'm just going to look in the chat box, see if there's anything chat. There's nothing in that chat box 1. Thank you for joining us, Judith. Hopefully you made it through. Nothing in that chat box 1, nothing in chat box 2, 3, 4, 5. Nothing in that chat box 6, 7, nothing in that window 8. All these windows I've got to look at for anything. Sometimes don't forget to subscribe. Even join the join button too. Thank you very much.